Hey y'all, and welcome to another session of Watch Cheryl Scrap. Today I'm creating a layout for Scrap Happy's layout a day for May to 2021, 2021, and this theme for the load is Live Golden, and it's inspired by the TV series Golden Girls. So today's story prompt is, what kind of treats do you enjoy with your girlfriends? And the technique prompt is to try to use more types of embellishments than there are cheesecake. So lots and lots of embellishments, and that is completely up my alley. So if you'll remember in the series, uh, the girls would often have cheesecake late at night as they sat around the table. So this is exactly what happened on Mother's Day. We enjoyed a homemade cheesecake that my mother baked for my sister's 45th birthday. And it was a combination Mother's Day, birthday dinner. And we all enjoyed it. It was so yummy. So what I've done is I started with a kit by ForeverJoy Designs, and in fact, all the designs in this layout are created by her. She's a designer at the Lily Pad, and um, I started with Eat More Cake, which had this fabulous little cherry background, and so that's exactly where I put it. And then I started with a flag banner paper to add more of a white background so my photos would stand out a little bit more. And I like it, and it's going to stay that way for a little bit, but then I'm going to change that out. So you'll see I have taken the 4 photos. I've made 2 of them larger, 2 of them smaller. I wanted to highlight, of course, the picture of the cheesecake itself, as well as a picture of the sliced cheesecake. And then the 2 smallers are just the close-up of the cherries and then a close-up of the cake and gifts. So now I'm starting to add some embellishments. I've added a vellum or acetate little round element that says "So Sweet," and I clipped it to that photo using the Photoshop shortcut Control G. And then I have added my title, which is a wood piece that says "Celebrate." And diagonally from that, I've added a little piece of cork that says "Love This" to balance out that wood look. I also have the "Enjoy This" on the bottom, and that is also a vellum piece. So you see here where I've decided I'm bringing in a white paper. And it is very similar in texture to a doily. It's absolutely beautiful, and I love the texture that I get. So I chose to put that as the main white background. And then I still kept the flag banner paper though, and had it cut into a horizontal strip that will focus right behind those bottom 2 photos. So now I'm just doing the fun part of the layout, which is adding all of the little bits and pieces. I've added a little grosgrain ribbon down at the bottom with the little, it's red and white. And I've added 2 small flowers. One's crocheted with a button, and the other is a tiny little felt with a button as well. I've added in this little heart, and it will stay on this side of the layout, but I'm going to move it a little bit. You'll see I'll add it on top of that accordion flower. So you see here I've added a button, I've added another flower slash button, and I need a little place so I can write my journaling. So I have picked a label that's outlined in red, and I've also picked some numbers that are red and blue, and that's the number 45 for my sister's 45th birthday. Then I've picked a fabulous piece of paint, and I've layered it on top of the textured paper. It's just a little ring of hearts with some paint. And then I'm adding a fastener onto the label, which is just a little staple. So yesterday was Mother's Day, and we spent quite a bit of time around the table eating dinner and then talking. And of course, we did that a little bit more as we had the cake later on after we had opened presents and such. And I always find my family are my closest friends, and I enjoy sitting around and talking and laughing with them, and that's what we did yesterday, and it was a fabulous time. So it does make me think of Golden Girls, because we talk about non-important things, but we also talk about really important things as well. And I'm grateful to have my family also be friends. So now you've seen I brought in some blue flowers and floral elements. So these little chipboard pieces are coming in, and that will add in a little bit of green and then also adding more blue. And that blue is picking up on the dish that holds the cheesecake. And that's a little countryside pattern. And I'm adding a badge underneath the 45. So it looks like those two half circles, if I slid it up just a little bit, it would be a complete circle, but I like how they're offset. Now I'm bringing in a little bit, these are actually like little floral pieces, I guess. I'd call them more foliage, and they look like little hearts, so I thought it would be perfect to add those in behind the clusters that I'm building at the upper right and the bottom left. So actually what you'll see here is that I have the three clusters. I'll have the one at the 45 and So Sweet area. Then I have, a bigger one at the Love This, and then come down to the bottom left and I'll have the title cluster. So the 45 and the title cluster actually start to meet a little bit, but they still allow you to, look around the page. It gives you places to bounce around to. So it always brings you back into the center of the layout. I don't always do clustered photos like this, but I do them frequently enough, and I like the way they look because they're just kind of tucked together, and it just tends to make more of an impact. Okay, I'm adding a few more flowers, and of course my technique prompt is to use more types of embellishments than there are types of cheesecake. Honestly, I did not look up to see how many types of cheesecake there were, but I went a little crazy with the embellishments, but I love how it turned out. I love those little enamel pieces that I added up to the left of the main cheesecake photo. And then I'm adding another painted heart, this time on the flag banner paper, and it's opposite to where the other painted heart element is. Now I'm going to add in some foliage just to pick up a bit of green. You can see a little bit of green in the inset photo that has the gift bag in it. The yay on there has a little bit of green. Okay, I'm going to throw in some string to add some texture, and then I wanted to add in this ticket, so there would be something papery up in the other embellishment cluster, so it kind of mirrors where the label is where I'll do my journaling. Now I am searching, I think, for one or two more little things. Ah, yes, the cherries. Um, and of course, these were just absolutely the perfect fit. And so I'm just trying to determine where I want to put them. I think I'm going to put them at the clusters, but I do end up putting them on either side of the title. So the two little cherries go on the left, the single goes on the right, and I just rotate it a little bit. I couldn't have asked for a better embellishment than that. I was so happy as I was looking through products that I was able to find them. I add in this rubber piece that says Happy Day, and I'll end up moving that up by the 45. So I add a little bit of tulle for a little bit more texture. And I believe this is the final element that gets put on the final embellishment. I move that flower there. And now I'm going to start working on my custom shadows. In Photoshop, it's really easy. Once you've added a shadow layer to your paper or element, if you look at it in the layers panel, there's a small FX to the right, and if you right click there, you can choose create layer, and then you can warp your shadows. So what I tend to focus on is the paper in the background, any ribbon or string, of course the photos, and then other big things that I think would make an impact. So not everything on the layout gets a custom shadow, just enough so that it appears that there is, shadows everywhere. So it kind of tricks the eye. You don't have to do every single one of them. All right, and you can see here I'm working on the photo shadows. Also did the paper that I matted behind the photos as well. This little cork piece, I added a little bit of shadow over to the right just to give it dimension there. And add a shadow to that label. And you can't see it much, but it's enough that you can see I'm adding a little bit of shadow to the paper strip, so it kind of stands up a little bit off the page. Now on the ribbon, I am choosing to use the smudge tool, so that pushes and pulls in the shadow, and that's another way you can, move your shadows around without using the warp tool. So I'm just working on the celebrate, and I think I'm getting close to the end. I still haven't moved that happy day, which I will end up moving. Yeah, working on the string right now, and you can see how I'm pushing and pulling on those anchor points. Yep, working on the tulle down at the bottom. Oh, yeah, and a little bit of pulled out shadow on that acetate piece. Or vellum. I'm not sure it's vellum or acetate. Putting a little dimension on those chipboard pieces. Not every one of them, but a couple of them. And I'm moving around this piece of greenery because the end of it, the stem of it, was sticking out across my label. And then I'll pop that up underneath the 45. And that's going to finish the page. I hope it inspires you to create your own layout for our layout of the day, May 2021. Thanks for joining.